following a mass shooting in the city of Monterey Park, just east of downtown Los Angeles. At least 10 people were killed, another 10 injured, some of them critically. The gunfire erupted at a dance club late Saturday night during Lunar New Year celebrations. Monterey Park is a city of about 60,000 with a large Asian population. Police say it's too early to know whether this was a hate crime. The gunman is identified as a male, and authorities at Monterey Park City Hall are about to update us on the very latest. So let's go straight there so we can listen in.
A lot of very important work behind the scenes. Gives me a great sadness to be standing before you to report such devastating news. Never easy to do something like this because it's absolutely heartbreaking, and our thoughts, condolences, and prayers go out not only to the victims, their family, but this Monterey Park community and really the entire community, because I think we're all going to be hurting based on this tragedy. On Saturday, January 21st, 2023, at approximately 10:22 p.m., officers from the Monterey Park Police Department responded to a business in the 100 block of West Garvey Avenue in the city of Monterey Park regarding a shots fired call. When officers arrived at the location, they observed numerous victims and patrons in the business parking lot. Additional officers made entry into the business and located numerous gunshot victims. Monterey Park Fire Department responded to the scene and started to treat the injured. And I do want to point out these police officers that get there, they don't hesitate. They go in right away. And then our partners at the fire department, and not only the Monterey Park Fire Department, but many others who came to assist the victims, survivors who needed assistance. There were at least 10 additional victims transported to numerous local hospitals. But I do want to start off with saying that, unfortunately, when the fire department did get into the business, they did pronounce 10 of the victims deceased at the scene that I just described. But the 10 additional victims were transported to numerous local hospitals. They are listed in various conditions from stable to critical condition. There is a male suspect that fled the scene and remains outstanding as of this moment. Our very preliminary description has been described as a male Asian, and that's from the scene here in Monterey Park. And it's taken us a while, and please be patient with us, because as we're interviewing victims and witnesses, we've gotten different descriptions of one suspect. So when I say it's preliminary, please, again, be patient with us. We are here to tell you that we are utilizing every resource to apprehend this suspect in what we believe to be one of the county's most heinous cases. Our local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies are working together to better serve the residents here of Los Angeles County and to apprehend this attacker. Sheriff's homicide investigators are working diligently with the Monterey Park Police Department, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services, and numerous other law enforcement agencies. Bottom line is here, we're going to use every resource available to us because we need to get this person off the street as soon as possible. But again, we are still in the very early stages of this investigation, and there actually is a lot more that we don't know than what we know at this time. As I said earlier, the men and women of the Sheriff's Department join me in extending our condolences to the countless families affected by this senseless shooting, and they will remain constantly on the minds of our investigators, who, I see it in their eyes, they want to get this guy, and they're going to. So I also want you to know questions that are being asked. Is this related to the other event here in the city of Monterey Park, or any concerns about any other Chinese New Year events? We are working here. You see all the partners behind me, including the FBI. We've been doing threat assessments throughout the morning. Are they connected? Honestly, we don't know the answer to that yet. It may or may not be. So as we look at other events, we will make sure that we step up our presence from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. We will be in communication with other law enforcement agencies. We already have been, to make sure that security is a top priority at any event. And that's not to indicate that we think there's a threat there. We're just taking every precaution that we can. We don't want anybody else to get hurt. As a matter of fact, I'll be attending another Chinese New Year's event later on in a couple of hours. And I encourage people to go out and enjoy the events. It's a time from that perspective to celebrate, although this is a very sad occasion. So I now want to introduce to you my partner, the Chief of Police of the Monterey Park Police Department, Chief Scott Weiss. Thank you. And by the way, we'll be available for questions after everybody is done speaking. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Scott Weiss. I'm the police chief for the city of Monterey Park. As the sheriff explained to you, my officers responded last night to this call. We've been working with our county, state, and federal partners to help in this investigation. It's a large investigation that will go on for many days and perhaps many months. My concern now is the safety of the city of Monterey Park. My officers are on duty. I brought in extra officers from home to make sure that the community is safe. We will continue to patrol this community and respond to anything that happens here. We're going to remain very diligent, and we hope the community becomes closer partners with us in this and is able to share any information they have with the Sheriff's Homicide Bureau and the City of Monterey Park. As the days go on, we will continue to be very diligent about protecting this city. Our Lunar New Year event that was going to occur close to where our crime occurred has been canceled today for obvious reasons. And all of us at the department, all of my officers that responded, all of my professional staff are very serious about catching this suspect and bringing him to justice. And that's our number one goal here. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Weiss. And I want to first thank Sheriff Luna, the FBI, the State Emergency Services, and all of the law enforcement agencies who have been working with us for the past few hours in investigating this very tragic event. It's difficult to believe that it happened here in Monterey Park. We want to express our condolences to the victims and their families. And moving forward, it is important that we be there for them to provide services and support they need in what will be a time of healing in next weeks, months, if not years. We also want to just thank everyone who has given their support for Monterey Park. Again, we are a small community in the San Gabriel Valley, but we're part of the larger Southern California region family, and it's been very comforting to see the support, the output of support that's been here for our community and our families. And again, thank you so much to our own police department, who every day protects this community. And this is a diverse community, a very diverse community. Yesterday we kicked off our Lunar New Year celebration, and our police department, very much aware of this diversity, also has within its ranks those who are multilingual as well as multicultural. And I want the community to be rest assured that our police department will continue every day to protect the safety of everyone who lives in Monterey Park. Thank you. Please identify yourself. I'm sorry. My name is Henry Lowe. I am the mayor for the city of Monterey Park. Thank you. I'm sorry, Henry, last name spelled Lo. Thank you.
Good morning. Supervisor Hilda Solis, representing the 1st District. First of all, I'm devastated. My heart is broken to hear that just after a very beautiful event that many of us here attended yesterday to hear about the loss of 10 lives, mass shooting that occurred here in Monterey Park, our very own community, as well as those 10 individuals that are injured. First of all, I want to commend the police department here in Monterey Park, the city of Monterey Park, for being so diligent, as well as our sheriff, our new sheriff, Luna, who's done already an outstanding job. But I also want to thank the community itself, because we continue to be resilient. This is unfortunate, happening here on the day that we celebrate. It's a holiday that is so well respected and celebrated by so many in the AAPI community. And just yesterday, to see hundreds of thousands of people on the street on Garvey, to know that people could come out after the pandemic to celebrate, to see family, to see children, to see our elderly, to know that this was a place of welcoming. People would come here for many, many years knowing that this was a place of acceptance, of diversity, of immigrants. And it's unfortunate what occurred. We're praying for those that lost their lives and their families, and for those that are currently in our care and that are injured. I know that at least 4 of those individuals are at our LAC USC Medical Trauma Hospital, and I want to thank the medical staff that has been there up all night providing the services and helping those to heal. We have much more prayers to provide for our community. As you know, hate crime is nothing new for some in our community, especially the AAPI community, and that's why almost 3 years ago, the County Board of Supervisors took action right on the cusp of COVID, when we saw assaults against people of Asian descent. So we know this is a problem, and we have to confront it. But I hope today that we remain united, and that when we see something, we say something. And as the sheriff said, we know that this is a day of a solemn moment, but we also know that the Lunar New Year means so much to our AAPI communities. And this is a time of reflection and prayer. So I know I will do whatever I can in my capacity, working with all of our partners here to see how we can heal, but also come up with some plans and see how we can better serve our community so that we can stop this hate that somehow has taken a hold over our communities. So I pray for those families, and I know that this community is resilient. It has been. It's gone through a lot already, but they remain fierce, and they are our community. They are our familia. Thank you. With that, Congresswoman Judy Chu.
Hello, I'm Congressmember Judy Chu, and I represent this district, the 28th Congressional District. My thoughts and condolences go to the victims of this horrific crime. I can only imagine the terror, pain, and anxiety that they feel, and how devastated the families of those who were killed must feel right now. And I can't even imagine that such a thing would happen in this community. My thanks go to the first responders who came so quickly, the paramedics and fire department who were able to take care of the injured, the sheriffs, Sheriff Luna, as well as Monterey Park Police Chief Weiss. And I appreciate the FBI coming immediately. President Biden has been apprised of this horrific shooting, and I hope that we can make a determination as to whether this was a hate crime. You know, this could have been so much worse. Only hours earlier, all of us were together only 1 block away at the Lunar New Year festival. All of us standing right here were there, and there were thousands there. It is horrible that such a thing could occur at a time of celebration for so many in the AAPI community and in the Asian community worldwide. This is a time to be with family, to celebrate, and yet this tore a hole through all of our hearts. But let me say, I've lived in this city for 37 years. I was on the city council and I was its mayor, and I know how strong Monterey Park is. Monterey Park is resilient. And what I know about the people here is that we will get through this together.
Good morning. I'm Don Alway, the Assistant Director of the FBI's Los Angeles Field Office. And on behalf of the entire FBI, our hearts go out to the victims and their families, those that are not going to have their loved ones come home to greet them. The FBI is committed to providing all the resources at our disposal to assist the Sheriff Department and the Monterey Park Police Department. And we won't stop until every lead is exhausted and justice prevails. Thank you.
A couple things. So your only description is that as an Asian male, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and then I just need to clarify something because Supervisor Solis just implied that this was, these hate crimes have to stop. So is this or is this not a hate crime?
Everything's on the table. We don't know if this is specifically a hate crime defined by law, but who walks into a dance hall and guns down 20 people? The description we have now is of a male Asian. Does that matter? I don't know. I can tell you that everything's on the table. Our detectives are looking at every possibility with our partners. Age range, somewhere between the age of 30 and 50. There is a wide range, and those are things that our detectives, as we're sitting here now for the last several hours, and we have several homicide teams working here. It's amazing when you can pick up the phone and I have other agencies coming. What can we do to help? We want this guy off the street. So we're working very hard, and we're hoping, actually, should be putting out a better description here in the next several hours.
You walked the scene?
The actual scene, I have not. I've been at the crime scene, but not the actual shooting scene.
The question I have is then, based on the scene, I don't know if you or Captain Meyer can answer this, based on the locations of the bodies, does it look like there was an intentional direction that the shooter was aimed at, or does it look like it was random across the board?
Those are questions that we will be able to answer, just not at this time.
Sure. Do you have a weapon?
Weapons, yes, the ammunition and weapons used, potentially any description of that. And can you please also describe what other incidents you are trying to investigate as far as their possible connection to this, including the one in Alhambra?
Yes. So let me start off with the last question regarding the city of Alhambra. We are working diligently with the Alhambra Police Department. We believe that there's an incident that may be related. We're not quite there yet, but it's definitely on our radar screen, where a male Asian suspect walked into a dance hall, and he walked in there with a firearm, and some individuals wrestled the firearm away from him, and that individual took off. Now, some witnesses in that area are describing a white cargo van. We don't know, though, at this time, if it is connected. That white van should be considered a van of interest at this point. Again, detectives looking at multiple locations, multiple clues, and I know how hard they're working. In regards to the firearm, obviously, there were multiple rounds fired at the first location where we have all the victims and survivors. We don't know how many rounds were fired. Different weapons have been described. In regards to the specific weapon, we don't believe it was an assault rifle at this time, but again, that's part of the investigation that we're looking at, just to make sure, and I don't want to put out bad information.
Sheriff, without giving us things that you cannot tell us, do you have things, solid leads right now, which are possibly connecting you to this gunman right now? I know you cannot give us details of them, but do you have some solid leads which give you hope that you're going to find this person fairly quickly?
I always have hope, and we have amazing detectives out here, the resources that they have are utilizing out here. There are multiple leads that we are following, but please keep in mind our priority here is obviously we get to the victims, we get to the survivors, we're going to wrap our arms around the families, but the next top priority is to arrest the person who did this, charge them, and get them prosecuted to the full extent of the law, no matter what the intent, motive, or anything was. So,
that the suspect knew anyone inside that dance hall?
that's always a possibility. Again, very early on in this investigation, that's a possibility. When you're a good detective, you don't take anything off the table. Everything's a possibility, and that could be one of them.
Has anyone said that in either of these two places, we think we know the person?
We are still in the process of interviewing dozens of witnesses, and I'm not going to get into detail yet about what they said. Look at how many cameras are in front of me. Suspect could be watching right now.
Sheriff, the Alhambra incident, is there a weapon if he was disarmed? Do you have a weapon from that incident?
We do.
Can you tell us what it is?
Not at this time.
Do you think that that could be your weapon from the crime here?
It absolutely could be. We don't know yet.
Can you please describe the victims as far as their age range, gender, race, anything you can tell us?
In regards to the 10 deceased victims, my understanding, we have 5 females and 5 males. In regards to their specific ages, we have not been able to identify any of them yet. We will do that with our partners at the coroner's office when the time comes.
How did the Alhambra incident happen? What time did the Alhambra incident happen?
I want to say it happened within 20 to 30 minutes of the first incident that we're here discussing. It happened after the Monterey Park incident.
Do you know how many people were inside the dance hall in Monterey Park when this occurred? How many people?
I don't have that information, but there were dozens of people in there.
Why no shelter in place order? Why no shelter in place order for the community?
We don't believe that's necessary at this time, but we will consistently evaluate that. And if we believe that there's an absolute danger to the public, we're going to take every precaution necessary. We have a lot of resources out all over the place. And I don't think we're there yet, but it's always an option in the toolbox.
Were all the victims, as far as you know, of Asian descent, the people who were killed, the people who were wounded?
We don't have that specific information yet because we have not identified them yet, but the assumption is that probably yes, but
Any children among the dead or injured?
no.
Do you know anything? I'm sorry. Do you know anything about the event? Was it advertised? Was it like?
And you were listening to the news conference for the last 20 minutes here on CBS. That was Sheriff Robert Luna giving details about that shooting. 10 people killed, 10 others wounded. He said, quote, "Who walks into a dance hall and guns down 20 people?" We do know that the suspect is still on the loose. He is of Asian descent, somewhere between 30 and 50 years old. And they do say that a white cargo van of interest is what they are looking for at this time. We want to go, though, to CBS's Chris Van Cleve with more. He is on the scene there at the news conference. I'm sure you heard the news conference, rather, and have more information for us. Chris?
Yeah, Jerika, you know, it stands out here. Police say that after this incident, there was a second incident that may be related here that sounds eerily similar just a few miles up the road here in a neighboring town, Alhambra, where an Asian male suspect walked into another dance hall with a firearm, and people in that facility wrestled the gun away from him before he took off. Police now have that gun. We know the ATF, the Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, Explosive Agency, is involved in this investigation, so they will start their process to trace the history of that firearm. That could be a big lead in this case, if in fact the two are related. Now, I can tell you from the scene here, the FBI command post is here, the sheriff is here, as well as local Monterey Park police. Investigators continuing to work around the scene, but it is very quiet here. This shooting happened late last night, and obviously everyone who was here has since cleared out. This Lunar New Year festival brings about 100,000 people a day here to Monterey Park, a relatively small community, about 62,000 people. So more than their whole population come to see this event every year. It's the first year they've done it since the pandemic. So this shooting happened sort of at the tail end of Saturday's events. The events for Sunday have been canceled. The sheriff saying they need to get this individual off the streets as soon as possible, but without a whole lot of a description. They are certainly going to be poring over any surveillance video they can get their hands on, as well as looking at the history of that gun, perhaps as a potential lead, Jerika.
And Chris Van Cleve, I know you'll have more for us tonight, and obviously you heard from Congresswoman Judy Chu saying that it could have been a lot worse because all of those officials, along with thousands of people, were gathered just hours before that shooting at about 10:22. Thank you, Chris Van Cleve. I want to check in with Chief National Affairs and Justice Correspondent Jeff Pegues at our Washington Bureau. Jeff, what are you hearing from your sources about this shooting?
Well, obviously, the suspect, Jerika, is still out there. And what I've been saying all morning is that is unusual in a situation like this. When you have a mass shooting, typically for whatever reason you'll find, or law enforcement will find, the suspect at the scene. It is rare for the suspect to get away, but investigators seem to believe that they have this under control and that they're not telling people that they need to shelter in place in that area, anything like that. They seem to feel confident, and they might feel confident about the situation because they'll have the description, as vague as it is, can help, but you'll also have security video that you can connect to potentially this white van that he was talking about. And so it's still early in the investigation, but the people that I talked to say the suspect is still out there, but it seems like they have a good idea of who they're looking for.
Jeff Pegues, Chris Van Cleve, thank you all for your coverage. Our coverage, of course, will continue at cbsnews.com and on our CBS News app. There will be much more to come on your local news on this CBS station and tonight's CBS Weekend News. This has been a CBS News Special Report. I'm Jerika Duncan in New York.